Sure.
Welcome to another Rooster Talk. I have Tony Cunningham with me today, Associate Director and Co-founder of CPS Capital. Um Tony, maybe you want to give us a good intro and just share some thoughts about, we're talking compliance and compliance.
Yep. Yep. So, not everyone knows COMPLII or CPS Capital, but everyone knows Hot Copper. As I guess you'd say, I was the stepdad to Hot Copper. But yeah, I've always been involved in the infrastructure of stockbroking and setting up broking and compliance and how things work. We've heavily involved in the NSX as well. So yeah, I've obviously still got a clients as well, which we do a lot of business with as well. But generally, a lot of my investments have revolved around the things that make stock market work. Yeah,
In
does that make
terms of
sense?
the current market situation, maybe do you think there's more relevance to comply this in this market, or we're just status quo?
Look, I think compliance in this market, the regulator is probably going to have a little bit of a hands-off approach because it is such a disaster what's going on. I think they're probably. I don't think they've got their work cut out for other things. As you've seen, a lot of the government rhetoric has been around getting business back and getting things back. So I think if there's any directive that ASIC and the regulator would have at the moment, or APRA, would be to get business humming. And strangely enough, that's actually the ASIC equivalent in Singapore. Is not the sole hat of a regulator. Their job, part of their mantra in Singapore is actually to promote business. And they see that good governance promotes business to Singapore, but their job. Can you imagine us in Australia saying, we need to promote more business. It would just be unheard of. Yeah. But that's how forward-thinking the Singaporeans are.
That's true. That's true. I mean, we've talked about comply a fair bit before. Maybe just give us a brief summary of what comply is, because I don't think many people outside the
Yeah,
broker industry would know
yeah,
what comply means.
yeah. So, yeah, yeah. Okay, so in 2007, some changes came in regarding 2005, 2006 came in regarding just a simple little thing called a statement of advice. When you or a record of advice or a statement of additional advice, or further market-related advice. It was all these ideas that brokers and financial planners had to make better recording of the advice they had given to retail clients, the mums and dads and whatnot. And it very much, and prior to that, in 2003, the Corporate Law Economic Reform Package out that differentiated between a wholesale client and a retail client, and allowed exemptions for wholesale clients to allow the improvement in doing business and capital raising in Australia. And they were quite sweeping and very positive rules. However, there was the system in Australia is built around, all systems are built around the ASX, and it's a monopoly. So there's no requirement to improve. There's no incentive to make things better or integrate with more people. So it essentially is the layers that sit over the ASX are the same as well. They're very backward, and essentially we saw that put a layer over the existing infrastructure, taking that data and provide systems that would make compliance a lot easier. And we weren't building it for 2007 compliance. We sat back, and when we started building it, we said, well, look, what's compliance going to look like in 2017? Now, if you had told me what compliance looks like in 2020, I would have had a heart attack. We never even anticipated that it would have gotten so onerous to be involved in the market. You know, no one would have predicted what they've done with FASEA post the Royal Commission, etc. So yeah, we've built a very robust system. We've spent a lot of money, you know, many millions, building a system that now runs the infrastructure and compliance of about 48 of Australia's top broking firms. There's only about 138. 10 or 12 we'll never get because they've got their massive, big, you know, Chinese, Hong Kong, American, European brokers that'll have their own infrastructure and systems, and a lot of firms that are just too small. But so the mid-tier to small, we've pretty much got them all, yeah, and they use our systems. The COMPLII's also morphed into a capital raising system as well, or basically any problem in a broking firm or inefficiency, COMPLII's built something to improve that for them. So our number one product is obviously our compliance system. Our number two product is our corporate capital raising system, which raised 3.5 billion last year on the system in 3,000 deals. So it's by far and away 50 times bigger or 100 times bigger than the next capital raising system in this. So it's pretty exciting.
In your opinion, I guess, you know, in now we're all doing this social distancing, and I can't see sort of this thing changing much in the next 6 to 12 months, I guess, especially internationally. I mean, we spoke about the second point you made, the fundraising and the ability of COMPLII to facilitate this kind of thing with many brokers all at the same time. Do you see that being a big advantage at this time, like where there's not a lot of face-to-face kind of conversation happening?
Well, look, we built COMPLII with the idea that in the future everyone would be working from home, and you know and at CPS we had a lot of brokers that were travelling the world, London during the mining boom. You've got to remember this was built in the mining boom. We had advisors opening accounts from London or Toronto, you know, all over the US, all over the world, Singapore, Hong Kong, you know, mainland China. So we built a system that could keep them compliant from a remote location, and that's what was built. So the system, luckily, is built for. So we've had a completely, you know, firms that are running with manual systems, they simply can't run at the moment. You can't run things on paper and pen at the moment. So you know, most people are at home. Most brokers are at home, so it works seamlessly. We've been very lucky. As far as capital raising go, to answer your question, yeah, 100%. The new, you know, the new product, you know, what has stopped to an absolute ground, to an absolute halt of zero, is presentations coming into our offices, all 48 of our broking firms. It's down to zero. You cannot, for love nor money, get in to present into a broking boardroom. So the product that we're working on, we should be live. We should be completely live by about and having significant turnover on it by about October, November, which we're calling corporate highway. That will be, and God knows, God hope we're not still in lockdown by then, but we'll be testing it, probably testing it from June on. We've done a couple of interim tests of the phase 3/2 product, and phase 3 we think will go live about June, July, August. Yeah, and that'll significantly allow people to present deals. Yeah.
Okay, so corporate highway is a separate product you're referring to.
Yeah. So because names, but I will give you. So corporate highway started for CPS. We needed a problem to solve. To send to and we built it for ourselves, and then amended it for another firm that really needed some help. They were struggling in cash financially. They needed to make a number of people redundant to stay active and alive. And what happened was previously they were to do a capital raising. They would send a email out to their 170 advisors. Actually, I think it was about 300 at the time, 300 advisors, with a spreadsheet and asking the advisors to enter for a capital raising. So they'd send a spreadsheet, a term sheet, a research report, and a presentation on the company they were doing it, with a request that they get back to corporate within the next 2 days if their clients were chasing any of the stock. The advisor would then, with the help of their dealer's assistants, enter the names and addresses of the clients that they thought they were likely to take the stock in, and then they would call those clients saying, do you want 100 grand, do you want 50 grand, do you want 60 grand? Enter those numbers into the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet would that spreadsheet would then macro head office to find out whether that client was a 708 client or not. If it wasn't a 708 client, they couldn't enter that account number and they would have to start again. Anyhow, once they were finished, they would close that spreadsheet, email it back to head office, and head office would then obviously receive that, as they would with the 300 other brokers. They would have to get those 300 spreadsheets, combine them into one spreadsheet. Say the bidding on the deal was $10 million and the deal was only $7 million. They would then have to apply a scale back to that spreadsheet, give everyone, cut and paste everyone's allocation, email it back to them with the scale back that they were subject to, and then the advisor and the dealer's assistant would have to cut those back, and they go, oh, okay, Joe Blow only ever takes 100 grand, so he's out, and then reallocate his holding to the others. So it was just a nightmare. They would then email that back. Again, that spreadsheet would be recombined into one spreadsheet. That spreadsheet would then be mail merged with the Word document, but it could only be, each branch office had to have its own offer letter, specific offer letter with that letterhead. So they would have mail merge into the system to build those 13 offer letters. So they might have, say, 700 offer letters going out, and they would have to mail merge those to a Word document to get them all, PDF all those documents, and then they would send those offer letters out to the 700 clients. The 40 dealers assistants would find that find that PDF, find the email address of that particular client, and attach that PDF to the email, and then email it out. Now, as you can imagine, that would take days and days. Then they would have to instruct all those clients to sign the offer letter, return it back, and transfer the funds. I won't go. It's getting a bit long in the tooth. So, COMPLII has completed that process. Used to take about 10 days. COMPLII has completed that process where their record is 20 minutes. So from the deal going out to the acceptances for all the clients, 20 minutes. They let 40 staff go. And more importantly, it's allowed them to do more deals. If they can do a deal in a day versus 10 days, they can do more deals, which just means more revenue. So it's, for them, it's been a huge boon, and it's now a very mature product. And again, 48 firms are using it. The system raised 3.5 billion on it last year, so it's by far and away the absolute holy grail of capital raising products in Australia at the moment. But obviously, as you can see, for one firm opening a deal to all their advisors, there's no reason why what we're calling phase 2, when they open it to, it doesn't open to all 48 other brokers in the system. So we're building that out at the moment. So you open a deal at Canaccord, and then it opens to the 48 brokers, or you open a deal at a small little firm, and that's only got, say, 1,000 clients, and you open it to the network of 3,500 brokers and 2 million clients. It's a very significant product. But phase 3 that we're building at the moment, which should be live shortly, will be available. Like I said, I think it'll be humming by about October, November. Started testing in about June. But all the other websites, Samso, for instance, could be one of the groups. Their system essentially takes clients from a retail perspective and takes them through the process of anti-money laundering, takes them through the sophisticated investor questionnaire. And essentially at the other end, you've got a client that has attached their anti-money laundering, their KYC, their 70810 sophisticated investor certificate, and they're all ready to take stock. So all the potential websites or groups out there can be part of the whole process of becoming essentially part of the network, or part of the cogs in the wheel.
Yeah, I think in this current state of the industry, I can't see too many manual things happening. I can't see too many staff being able to lean over the desk and say that little bit of things. So automation would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, most firms still operate on open outcry. Like, guys, I've got this coming in. Do you want to come in? Do you want us to meet them? We've got $1 million to place. Do you want some? Impossible at the moment. I mean, we've got 28 dealers in our office, and we've all got all but 3 working from home.
I think in post-COVID lockdown, whatever we want to call it, I think the way we do business would be significantly different. It'd be a new frontier, I think. Your product seems to be. I know we talked about this a while ago. I will admit that the significance wasn't that great, but the significance now is clear as anything now. By far, probably I wouldn't say it's the only thing, but you may think differently. But definitely, by far, much better than what was 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your business, Samso is as an example. You've got a huge database. Your database would be, excited to look at every single deal going on in Australia. So Samso just you invite them all into the Samso network, which with our white label. And every one of your Samso clients gets to see all the deals that are live in Australia. Because we are, essentially, I think we do I think we're about 85% of the deals that are in Australia through our network.
I was just on the phone last night to a few of these guys, and they're all thinking, asking me what opportunities they are over here, which. Yeah, it's more of a conversation now than say even 3 weeks ago. because they could source this themselves, but now it's very different. It's they can't move, we can't move.
Well,
so
look at Well, look, I mean, most firms that we've spoken to, they generally get between 6 and 7% on a corporate deal, and they're happy to do what we're calling a pay-away fee. So, XYZ broker puts a deal up, and they advertise it out to the network. And I'm using Samso as an example. Samso has a huge number of clients, and their pay-away to Samso is 5%. So, or any other broker, or take another website. So if you do a website doing $1 million per deal, the fee on that is $50,000.
Yeah.
COMPLII,
and COMPLII controls over that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's all compliant. It's 100% compliant.
Which Oh, that's great. I mean, off the topic, I guess, from a broker, I mean, what do you see the market? I mean, it's bouncing along the bottom, but what's your crystal ball comment?
Yeah. Look, the market. I've always said that the market looks 18 months ahead. 18 months ahead. So, we've got to look to where the market will be in 18 months' time. So the question is, are we oversold here? Maybe Australia is. US, maybe not. I mean, in 18 months' time, it might not. It might be, a lot more severe. The things that worry me are, I think South Australia, Northern Territory, WA will be. I think they'll be at zero infections. Our remoteness will play to our advantage. Queensland, not so sure. New South Wales, a basket case. Victoria, not as bad as they might have been. They seem to have got on top of it early there, but it's still going to have a huge. But what does that mean for? Let's just say just taking WA as an example. So let's just say we start recording 0 infection days shortly, and then it goes to a new number of infection days in a row, 0. What does that mean? Does that mean does WA get back to work because of that, or not? Or is we're part of the global economy, and if that's slowing, they're talking 50% fall of GDP for America. I mean, that's just unbelievable. They would say that. 30% unemployment. They're saying 11% unemployment. I don't know why the differential, but that's what Morgan Stanley is saying. But we'll see with these numbers. I personally think that I think I've done some buying for clients, but only a third of what I'm buying. I think the plan is to buy maybe in another month's time, 1/3, and then possibly when I start to see it moving up, buy another third.
Yeah, I mean, I see like stocks like CBA that's 61, 62. I mean, that was what it was 6 months ago, or 12 months ago. It's not $32. It's
no. It's I'm not. I mean, so let's just say that this virus is. If all things are pointing to, we'll get control of this. There'll be pockets of bad stuff. What we don't have a good line on is how devastating it is to the world economy and GDP. So that once those numbers start to come out, is it going to cause the Dow to test 1,800, 1,700, 18,000, 17,000, etc.? They've had a huge run. Also, what happens if it does get really bad? Does Trump get thrown out? And then, someone was talking to a mutual friend of ours. If Trump loses the election and refuses to leave the Oval Office, well, the Republicans have got all the guns. What do they call in? Do they call in the army? I mean, it's not impossible. This is some pretty crazy times.
Yeah, I think, well, COVID sort of showed us that it is, if you had told me about this scenario, I would say it only happened in the movies, mate. Not anymore, though.
Well, I mean, you got to remember I was just thinking of Mission Impossible was filmed in Sydney. Uh, Basically, was all about a pandemic that came in from someone was into it's it has been thought of in
Yeah,
in fiction. Yeah.
yeah. All right, thanks, Tony. Thanks for your time. I think that's good feedback because I guess in a lot of my talks with people in Southeast Asia who are in that investing thing, they're still thinking about trying to take positions now, and I think
Mm,
I mean I wanted to talk to you about compliance because that's your fuel, and I sort of
hmm
know what comply plays, but no, it's good. I think we maybe we could do a weekly or fortnightly since we all got plenty of time now to talk.
yeah, you have plenty of time. Yeah.
All right, Tony. Thanks for giving me time. We'll
Thanks, mate.
wrap it up and we'll
Thanks, mate.
maybe catch up again.
Thanks, mate.
All
Cheers.
right, cheers.